Hello everybody, JGamerB here, and this video is very different from the others I've pretty made. I haven't made a video of a discussion topic for a long time now, but I figure I give this one with the Knight because I know that a lot of people hate going up against the Knight. I know a lot of people hate the Knight, and the reason why they do is because Knight's very good at sandwich teching or picturing survivors pretty damn good. And as survivor there, it felt like there's no counterplay at all. It's either you get hit by the guard or you get hit by the Knight. No matter what, you're just gonna die, and that's why people hate the Knight a lot. Now, and as a Knight player, I do 2v1. I for weirdly, as months go by in this game, I swear I felt like I'm 2v1ing more than I 2v4. Whenever I 2v4, I technically lose most of the games. So I have some reasons as I think why Knight players felt the need to 2v1. First thing first is the information Knight players get. Think about it. Whenever we have a guard chasing a survivor, we already know that there's one survivor there. Sometimes we can't find the other survivor. There's no other survivor nearby that we can chase after while a guard is chasing the other one. So, and it's like, what can the Knight do? Do Knight players seriously just have to, like, patrol around the map while they let the guards go get someone just to find someone? Really, the whole purpose of using your power as Knight, and this goes for every other killer as well, is you want to get pressure on survivors. Hits, wasted time, whatever, gen defense, anything like that regarding to that. Because basically, especially if a guard didn't land a hit on that survivor that they're chasing, all you done is just waste time and just kind of stalling the game instead of creating pressure. And this is never a good scenario when you got three other survivors doing gens. So that's why sometimes Knight players felt the need to just 2v1 there to get the pressure going on the hits. Second reason is the Carnifex. So we already know it's common sense that whenever a Knight uses another guard, the previous one just disappears, regardless if it's patrol or chasing someone. Now, blankly, 2v4ing a survivor, I mean, it has its ups and downs. When you 2v4 a survivor, you got two survivors that are occupied. Even if the guard doesn't get the hit, it's occupying that survivor, like Jailer, for example. This mainly just forced two survivors off gens, and then you got the other half of the team doing gens. Unless if you already have one on hook and the other needs to go for the rescue, nobody would be on gens. Now, this is Brinkley good. If you have the hook, I think 2v4 makes sense. The problem is that Knight's pretty powerless when he does 2v4 Survivor. Because without his guards, he's basically M1'd. And yes, you may say, well, Knight has a haste, a 5% haste for 10 seconds, and that is true. That is true that he has that. But 5% haste is not enough to help you guarantee a hit on survivors when you 2v4, especially if you're alone. And sure, Knight has a Carnifex that he can smash pallets, in fact, so quick that he can walk through them, but when doing so, it cancels the other guard that was chasing the previous survivor. Especially if that one survivor you're chasing knows how to greed pallets, and basically, when you accidentally go into your power thinking you're going to drop the pallet and did not, you basically just waste another guard that was chasing the other survivor with nothing in return. So really, this is probably another reason I could think of, is that Knight just felt powerless while trying to hunt down survivors without his guards. And third reason, and this goes the other way with the guards, there's a bunch of bugs. There are bugs about the guards that Knight has that were made as future base kits to help counter the guards. Basically, this is not a bad thing, I don't think, because you don't want blend gameplay with guards just chasing you and looping around until so. But these bugs, like the window tech's not too bad, but like the pallet one, there are some bugs that just made the guards utterly pretty useless without the Knight. And this is another feeling as to why Knight players felt the need to 2v1, because without the Knight's help, the guards won't be able to even catch them, especially the assassin. Now, sure, like I mentioned before, the window one, it's not really a bad bug there, because survivors don't gain that much distance. They don't gain a lot of distance, so it's still possible that the guard can hit At least for the assassin, but Jailer and Carnifex won't, because they both move at 102.5% speed. One time I had a survivor in Shack that my Jailer was chasing, and he was just running around a gen center of Shack, touching the window back and forth, just looping until the hunt duration was over. And that alone that's pretty crazy. It won't work on Assassin, but Jailer, really, it would. And I think it's because Jailer's not really meant for chasing, he's meant for patrolling. So even though that survivor was doing that whole time, at least that one's busy, and I still have the pressure. So really, I just don't care if survivors do that. But if it's as Assassin, though, okay, that's pretty bad. That, you know, it's bad if they can do that well with Assassin. But that pallet bug where they just loop around and path around when you drop it right in front of them, that's a very bad one. That bug should not exist. That should be gone, because even the Assassin cannot catch. It just guarantees an escape. And because of this, I could think of that's why the Knight players probably would want a 2v1 rather than 2v4. Now, those are the three reasons I think of as to why Knight players would rather 2v1 instead of 2v4, is blankly these three reasons. They can't really get that much information unless they have another survivor nearby, and the Knight himself just kind of feels powerless without his guards, blankly, because he only has that 5 haste that it's not going to make that much of a difference. Plus, Carnifex, while can really help, will cancel the other guard. And the third reason is that the guards also kind of felt powerless without the Knight. It's almost like if the Knight's power design is mainly having both Knight and his guards together. And because this created so much of these techs that survivors cannot really counter at all because of how broken it can be, it's why Behavior tries to fix this by just reducing the timer if the guard is close, if the Knight's close to that guard. Which honestly, this nerf isn't that too good. It does not stop Knight players from 2v1ing. All Behavior really did with that nerf is to just increase skill ceiling, because Knight can still 2v1 just fine, like he was before the rework. Except now you just kind of have to path carefully. Like, it kind of takes more planning now. You kind of have to do more thinking. So really, this was a huge nerf for like beginners, but it does not affect the pro Knights after all, because they know how to play him. Now, all of that aside as to why Knight 2v1s, I can't think of much changes to really help encourage Knight players to 2v4. But I do have one really good idea that I really hope that one day Behavior would do, because maybe, just maybe, this might stop Knight players for 2v1ing. It may not guaranteed fix it, but at least it will de-encourage Knight players from doing that strat and rather 2v4. Think of 2v1 as a tunneling. We all know how Behavior tried to do with tunneling. The tunneling changes that they tried to do was way too punishing for the killer to do. In fact, so punishable that Swifts abuse that, or any other solo survivors that can abuse it. It's pretty abusable. And the second time they tried to do it wasn't as punishing, but wasn't that rewarding. So Behavior got nowhere at all. Now, I'll get to the tunneling things later, but just think of 2v1ing a survivor kind of like tunneling. Because think about it, tunneling is kind of a scenario where nobody likes. There are counters, like you can just stall time, but that's just it though. Think of the exact same thing as 2v1ing for the Knight. Except it's all the time, with no punishment, if the Knight plays well. I have one good idea that, again, like I said, I hope Behavior makes this in the future to kind of at least encourage Knight players to not 2v4, or 2v1 I mean. I think Knight players, I think what they should have, they should be able to use Carnifex to smash a pallet without canceling the other guard. I think this would be a really healthy change to disencourage Knight players not to 2v4 or 2v1 and rather 2v4 instead. That way, let's just say you got Jailer chasing a survivor. You got one survivor being chased by Jailer. You found the other survivor, so you're gonna go 2v4, taking advantage of that 5 haste, and then they reach that pallet. And let's just say they did drop the pallet. They didn't greet it. You can use Carnifex, break that pallet, and walk through it and get a hit while the Jailer is still chasing another survivor. And this way, Knight players would felt the power that they should feel when playing as Knight with the guards of getting valuable of. Even if Jailer doesn't secure the hit, the least he can do is stall time. And the same should work with Assassin too. Now, if I know what people are thinking, they think this change may not be good because Knight can just use a guard, chase a survivor, 2v1 like they do, and then use a card effect, and the guard will be still chasing. If that were the case, I say this: if they use card effects to break a pallet, not a generator, just a pallet, while there's a guard nearby chasing that other survivor, and I say within 12 meters, that's when the other guard should be canceled. But map-wise, no. I think this would be very helpful for Knight players to 2v4 instead of 2v1, because now they have the power. They can get a hit on the survivor, and then the other guard could probably get a hit on the survivor, if not stall time. And this would help Knight players. This is not only a buff to the Knight, but I think it's a healthy buff for both sides. Because then survivors won't have to deal with the 2v1 scenario, and the Knight players don't have to keep using 2v1 strat, because they already have their guard dealing with that survivor, and they still get the pressure with the other survivors recently. Now, Knight can still, I mean, this doesn't truly fix the problem. Knight can still 2v1 if he wants, but I hope that this change can at least encourage them not to 2v1. So that's the only like really healthy change I could think of, because this could help the one scenario where Knight won't feel powerless while using his guards, because he now has the card effects that he can use to smash a pallet while the assassin or jailer going after some other survivor. This would help get two survivor injured if can, or they keep stalling time, because that way you still get the pressure, and even though they're getting gens done, Knight can still have his own pressure instead of having that feeling where you're getting nowhere as guards and I must 2v1 so I can get pressure. This way, if Knight chooses a 2v4, he can still get the pressure the same exact way as 2v1ing. That's why I think this change would be really healthy. Nothing major, nothing minor, just this change. This is only the one change I could think of to help Knight players, encourage them to not 2v1. Now, all jokes aside, or not all jokes aside, all change aside about the Knight, as if you're wondering, I haven't uploaded anything about Prototype. I know I'm going back to changing topics here. For some weird reason, we left off when I was injected and I tried to cure myself. Unfortunately, something went wrong with my video and it won't upload. I don't want to skip a scene of that series, so I have to restart the entire hard mode, no death run, all over again. So it's going to be a while until I get that video up soon, especially with my personal life and all that. But yeah, if you're all wondering why it's taking really long to get another Prototype video up, that's the reason why. But all in all, I think I'm done talking with the Knight here, and I just hope that this change could really make Knight better to play, or feel better to play, and also make Survivor players not hate them as much as they do. So, that's all, and I'll see you all in the next Prototype series.